The basic idea of listen, move, think is that children think, that they communicate their thinking through movement more easily than they would in words, or than they do in words, and that once they've communicated their thought through movement, then we can begin a dialogue. When we're beginning a dialogue, we want to keep things wide open as much as we can. When we limit conversations to what they're supposed to know on a test or know for an objective, then we really truncate every conversation. We cut conversations off at the knee. Conversations, think about a conversation with your friends, they kind of meander here and there and everywhere. Education is about getting to the point as quickly as you can. It's not about kind of wandering. Wandering is, in many respects, the opposite of what education is. Education is getting to the point as quickly as possible. So, when we ask questions, when we give a prompt, my thinking is that we should use the word if. When we use questions that begin with if, then a world of possibilities opens up. And coupled with that, if we use if statements in the first person, that opens up a lot as well. For example, where do gerbils live? You're asking for a statement, or a statement of fact. Not the possibilities of where gerbils might live, but where they do live. It's a fact. Gerbils live X. And then if we use if, that will make it a little bit more open-ended. If you had a gerbil, where would it live? Now it's not just where do they live, but if you had a gerbil, where would it live? And to open up the children's minds to fantasy and thinking, because we're really looking for thinking here, put the gerbil in the first person. If you were a gerbil, where would you live? Then it's personally meaningful. We're not divorcing the child from the object, from that thing. The child is that thing. And so it's a little bit more meaningful. For the remainder of this video, you're going to see children's responses to the question, if you were a leaf, if you were a gerbil, and I believe if you were a feather, I'm not sure. The important thing is if you were. Let's see what the children come up with. Let's see what the children come up with. It's fine. If you had a leaf, where would it be?
Probably on my dresser.
If you had a leaf, where would it be?
On my foot.
If you had a leaf, where would it be?
In my safe.
If you had a leaf, where would it be?
On my tree.
If you had a leaf, where would it be?
In my leaf press.
If you had a leaf, where would it be?
Lost.
If you had a hamster, where would it be?
In its cage.
If you had a hamster, where would it be?
In my room.
You had a hamster, where would it be?
Sleeping in my room.
If you had a hamster, where would it be?
Not terrorized by my brother.
If you had a hamster, where would it be?
Running on my wheel in its cage in our laundry room.
If you were a gerbil, where would you be?
Probably in the case.
If you were a gerbil, where would you be?
Out in the wild where like gerbils come from. I don't want to be. I wouldn't want to be a
pet
pet.
store.
I wouldn't want to be a pet.
If you were a gerbil, where would you be?
I guess at a pet store.
If you were a gerbil, where would you be?
Sleep.
If you were a gerbil, where would you be?
In my cage in a laundry room.
If you were a leaf, where would you be?
A tree. A tree. Or like on the ground. I would like to be on the tree. I'd be on the ground.
If you were a leaf, where would you be?
Probably on the ground too.
If you were a leaf, where would you be?
On a tree.
If you were a leaf, where would you be?
Max, right? I would be in the air floating away like a star.
If you were a leaf, where would you be?
I would be on the ground, just laying there.
If you were a leaf, where would you be?
Probably in a kid's hand and getting a stick stabbed through me used as a boat, flying down, going down the stream.
What's wrong with you?
Sorry, I like going down the stream.
This last child's response was very fanciful, very detailed. We could go in a lot of directions with it, and yet his friend's response was, "What's wrong with you?" One of the things that we need to guard against is allowing children the opportunity to use their imaginations, especially at this point, and use fantasy. No holds barred. Nothing is off the table. We need to accept all responses. And the more outlandish the response, the more we have to talk about, because it can go in any direction. If we have a tree, a leaf is either in the tree or on the ground. That's reality. Fantasy is anything else. We need more fantasy.